Well, do you ever think back to those early years when, by your own admission, you were a mean girl, a mean woman in some ways?
Yes, I certainly
Didn't treat your colleagues all that well.
Correct.
Tough on people under you.
Mm-hmm.
You changed. How and why did you change?
A lot of it is the therapy with this wonderful teacher that I still call my teacher. I created a character called the Angry Lady out of this. I know where it came from my fears and my insecurities, and I would lash out from that. And once I got a hold of that, I took them out of the dark and put them in the light of day. They lost their power. And I put them into this character called the Angry Lady that I did in my one-person show, where I wore a neck brace and an eye patch, and I was suing everybody for hurting me, and I had this whole thing that she would go through, and at the end she was like, I will sue your ass. And I got to say that as Sue Sylvester a couple of times too. And I think once you do that and you make fun of it, it has no power over you anymore.
You said fear and insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that do you think, and you can only give me your opinion, had to do with your struggle to find your sexual identity?
Yeah, well, that was a big one. I think, you're a young girl in the South Side of Chicago in the 1960s. Nobody's gay. As far as you know, you're the only person in the world with this affliction because you've heard it whispered about. You hear about people talking about men who hold hands on the beach in Florida and there's something wrong with them. I remember a friend told me that she saw that when she was on vacation in Florida. And you think, oh my God, I've got that. I have the girl version of that. That wreaks havoc on your sense of self as a young person. And, it wasn't until... I'm in New York, places like New York, and I'm in the theater, teeming with gays. But even when I was in the 80s, when I was in theater, people weren't out. We knew, we'd look at each other and go, I know who you are.
What you just described, you were, 13, 14, 15 years old? Did you share this with your family? Did you share it with friends?
No. Oh, no. I remember I wrote it in a journal and I went to the next town to throw it away. No, I didn't share it with anybody. I didn't tell my parents until I was 31. Yeah, I was really deeply ashamed and afraid of what
You were afraid what their reaction would be.
I was afraid I'd be thrown away.
But you weren't.
I wasn't. But I'll tell you what, when I was 18, if I told them, I don't think my parents would ever throw me away. But I think it would have been really difficult for them to deal with. But by the time I was 31, things had changed. Clinton was president. And, they didn't want to lose the relationship with me.
Did you tell them in person or call them?
I wrote them a letter. A therapist told me, write them a letter. And you don't have to send it. But that's
a technique.
That's the ruse, yeah. It's a technique. So I wrote this beautiful letter, not thinking I had to send it. And I read it to my therapist. She said, oh, it's beautiful. And I said, I think I'll send it. And she said, it's a good idea. And so I did. I sent them a letter, called my brother, and I said, are you sitting down? And he said, yeah, what's wrong? He thought I was going to say I was sick. And I said, I'm gay. And he said, oh, okay. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure I tell Mom and Dad there's a letter coming from you and that we'll read it together. And I said, thank you. And my parents thought the same thing. In the first paragraph, they thought I was telling them I was sick. So when I said, I'm gay, they were like, oh, thank God. She's just gay, honey. And my dad said, that's okay, right? And she said, of course it's okay.
Were you not fearful that if people found out, it would hurt your career?
I was fearful of that, of people finding out and hurting my career before my career took off. And by the time I, did Best in Show, I was fine with me. I wasn't afraid at all. I didn't, and I played a lesbian. It didn't even strike me that, oh my gosh, my first big role where people will know who I am, I'm playing a lesbian. I never even thought of that. She has a very big heart. She's generous. She's kind. She's sweet.
And vice versa.
Yeah. It just changed my life. And as it turns out, she's a dynamite in the sack.
I think you'd agree, and if you don't, you would say so, that in terms of our beloved United States of America, we've come a ways on gay and lesbian issues.
Well, in terms of time and progress, it's been, I mean, it really has. It's been just the last, what we've done in terms of gay rights and acceptance of us as just being another way of loving, in the last 20 years has been amazing. And I think it's kind of on its own thing. I can't really predict what will be next, but I bet marriage is going to continue to, it'll be nationwide, I'm sure, in our lifetime, in your lifetime.
It'll have to hurry to do
Yeah, they're
it
going to, and
lifetime.
I think it will, and I think it will. I think there are, just as in civil rights and the acceptance of even black and white people marrying in some parts of this country is, like in parts of Mississippi, is just not accepted. And you know, you can't you can't lose hope because of that. I think there are places where it's just not going to change, but I think for the most part, it's on its way. It's kind of like a steady wildfire now that's just building up steam.
Well, at the risk of it being a cliche question,
Yeah.
do you think you will live to see an openly gay and or lesbian president of the United States?
Oh yeah, yeah, that'll happen. Yeah, and I'll be able, you know, young and spry enough to campaign for them, should I find them worthy of my vote. There was a part of me that was a bully. That was, you know, and it came from an insecurity, and it came from my own fears, and for some reason I got a jolt of righteousness if I told somebody else what to do, and I, you know, someone deserved to hear what I thought about them. It gave me a false sense of power, and it was usually, I would end up feeling guilty afterwards and regretful, and so my ex Laura and I came up with this character, and Elizabeth Mikesell, a friend of ours, called Mean Marlene, who was just this kind of bright light and fun and everything, but she just could not help being mean, and it gave her negative attention. But it was attention, and I remember that I would get like a hit off of that. I would get kind of a high from the negative attention, because it was better than no attention at all. And so we have this kid kind of go through her journey where it becomes better to make another choice, and that you can still be who you are. It's kind, you know, a person who kind of tells people what to do, a real natural leader, but does it in a way where people aren't intimidated and want to follow you.
And you drew on your own experience for what we'll call your bullying eras?
Yes, yes.
Are they completely over, or you still find yourself from time to time either wanting to bully somebody or actually bullying them?
I think, you know, the flip side of that is not standing out for yourself, and I suffer from both of those things. Either I was, you know, aggressively in your face, or saying, no, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. So I've found equanimity in that. I think I can, if I feel that fire in my belly where I want to say, you can't treat me that way, or you know, pay attention to me. If I feel that coming up, I'm able to soothe it and still ask for what I want, but in a way that might actually get me what I want.